What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 719 of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags of the Week live edition. We are doing this as WWE is doing their quote-unquote big announcement that everybody knew what their announcement was, and they spoiled it immediately when they showed what it was, and boo on that. We are going to run down the predictions for Worlds Collide. We are going to talk about some other random miscellaneous things, some TV recap, and so on and so forth, as we normally do here with the hot tags. And if you don't know who we are, well, I'm Tony Mango, joined as always by Robert DeFelice.
Boo-hoo, boo you.
And Callum Wiggins. I think we are joined by Callum Wiggins.
I think I did say Blair, but I don't know who picked up.
It didn't get picked up on there, so just heard
Blair.
My disgust was suffocated from me by a power that lies above our heads.
A higher power.
A higher
right?
power, you might mention.
A higher power.
Yeah, a higher power.
And speaking of a higher power, His Excellency, this Saudi Arabian guy, is currently thanking Vince McMahon. So that's great.
Of course. Yeah, I got this muted at this point. I don't need to hear what this guy has to say for anything in life, unless it's apologies, I'm sure. But yeah, big breaking news, special announcement, blah, blah. It's the same thing that we were anticipating. It's WrestleMania is going to be in Saudi Arabia, WrestleMania 43. Boo. All right. We'll talk about it in more detail and whatever. But I want to remind everybody that we are live. So if you are joining us live, I see Guy123 is in the chat right now. What's up, Guy123? Leave a chat, leave some kind of comment below if you are not able to listen to this live and you still want to voice your opinions, because we always want to know what you guys have to say too. So do that on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on smarkmoment.com, whatever it might be. Also hit up the Discord server that we have. Those different channels are all segmented. If you want to chat it up during pay-per-views, you got the pay-per-view things. If you want to be doing some fantasy booking, there's a little thing over there. Or just general chats, whatever it might be. Keep in mind, too, that if you want to help support us, lots of different ways for you to do it. Some of them completely free, like hitting the like button, making sure you are subscribed, ringing your notification bell. That way you will get the alert for things like this random live. And, chat out to Guy123. And I'm we're getting some more people here and there that are kind of like funneling in now. So, that's the whole point. You never know when we're going to go live. Might be 2 o'clock in the morning, some random time. Might be when we schedule things for post shows. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. Make sure that you also tussle spare change our way if you've got it through the thanks button, through the YouTube channel membership, through patreon.com/smarkoutmoment or Redbubble and TeePublic. And I guess let's just kind of get the ball rolling here. Let's not bother to talk about Canelo Crawford, two people I've never heard of before other than the constant incessant promotion for this, as if I'm supposed to care. Do you guys know who these two people are? Is this like I'm not tapped into it?
They're just boxers.
But I mean, like, have you ever heard the names before? It's just like when they announced that, like, like Floyd Mayweather versus Mike Tyson. It's like, yeah, of course I know those two. But like, they're acting like these two people are like, oh my god, it's the fight you've dreamed about forever, and I've never heard of these.
We don't follow boxing.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
But these two could be the biggest names in boxing right now. Like, I literally couldn't tell you. So
it's just one of those differences between if you follow something and it's super important versus if you don't, and it's still supposed to be considered mainstream or whatever. Like, I know, mainstream baseball, football players for a certain level, but like, I don't know. Yeah,
until monoculture died, and then it was like I knew Oscar De La Hoya when he was active as a boxer, just because he was popular and monoculture existed. But I can't say I know anything about Canelo and Crawford outside of they are boxers and they're promoting the hell out of this fight because I see it all the time.
Zero interest in watching that. Boxing in general is just like nothing happens. Yeah.
If you gotta have two great, two exciting, boxers, and then you might get something good.
Well, it seems like this announcement is over.
Yeah, so they literally didn't have anyone say anything.
So
okay.
I don't understand the point of having Liv Morgan, Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, Stephanie Vaquer, especially Bianca had 2 seconds worth of I'm just going to say that the women are doing great stuff in Saudi because that's a talking point that we want to try to get across for political purposes.
Well, I'm not trying to understand. Why'd you have
why Stephanie Vaquera behind there? Why,
just to,
why Seth Rollins just standing there? Like he flew these people out to Las Vegas so they could go and stand next to Joe Tessitore, or in Liv Morgan's case behind Joe Tessitore. But
I mean, I imagine, like, given the fact that they're there, you can speculate that, hey, maybe Liv will be around for Dom's match at AAA or something.
Maybe. I mean, that's in Las Vegas. That's one of the talking points we're gonna get to is Worlds Collide. But like, you know, if that's the point, and it's like, well, she's here, we might as well. Then I don't know. You could have put some other people. Let's be honest. They did it for optics. Somebody said, let's make sure that we have our black woman on here. Let's make sure we have our Hispanic woman on here. Let's put legends. They're probably going to request that we get Yokozuna again, but we can't. So let's put Undertaker out there, and you know. But that's the announcement. It's WrestleMania is going to be in Riyadh in 2027. So major thumbs down. For anybody that would be like shocked and like, what do you mean thumbs down? You've never listened to this podcast before. You don't know our opinions about Saudi Arabia and politics in general. We don't advocate sports washing, and we are not fans of bowing down to people that need to be praised and oppressed, and you know, all that terrible stuff like that. So boo when it comes to this announcement. You gotta feel a little bad for New Orleans at this point, who was supposed to get WrestleMania in 2026 and got promptly told somebody else is paying more for it. We're staying in Las Vegas. We can give you what is it, Backlash or something? Oh, Money in the Bank. Yeah.
And it's not just any Money in the Bank. It's a random September post SummerSlam Money in the Bank.
Oh, it's in September?
Yeah.
I didn't even remember that, or did you see that announcement maybe?
Which means that that's a weird talking point that I'm sure we'll talk about for the next year and a half, as schedule's all out of fucking whack. Your Money in the Bank in September, you're gonna have like Mania in Saudi. They're just doing whatever whenever, so things are changing in that regard.
It's so global.
No, but like seriously, if I'm New Orleans, I am pissed off because it's not just WrestleMania that you're missing out on. You're missing out on all that foot traffic from all the other events, where it's just like wrestlers and wrestling fans are creating business even if they don't want to go to Mania. And you know that's not going to happen for Money in the Bank weekend.
They're going to try, I'm sure, to market all this stuff as just being like, yeah, but if we're here, everybody needs to flock because, you know, that's what you should do as a fan. And no, but it's not going to work in that capacity. It's not going to be, you know, Money in the Bank is never going to be WrestleMania. Like, that same level is inherently just not going to happen because of the value that you put into the WrestleMania name. Just the same as how it's an important game to have like an all-star game or like, you know, NFC championship game or something like that. But it's not the Super Bowl. You know, like it just isn't. And a lot of rumors were going around with this WrestleMania announcement that people were thinking that it was going to be 2 WrestleManias a year, and that like that made no sense to me from the start.
That's not how that works. That's not how things work.
I had joked that when they started saying WrestlePalooza could be as big as WrestleMania, I was like, please just get WrestlePalooza in Saudi Arabia. Just convince them it's big enough and be like, no, you're getting the brand new shiny toy. That's better than WrestleMania. It's equal, or what was the phrasing? Equal or better than, or
equal or greater, equal to
just
or
as good or better than, or something like that. Like
equal to or greater than WrestleMania.
Every day. Every day is something else, to quote my wife.
You know what? Not to continue harping on the indie thing, but this is interesting. Because this means for the first time ever, America's wide open. And the indie events that crowd that weekend no longer have any competition. You can create even more like indie events to counter Mania. Shit, if AEW wanted to, they could counter Mania.
I would love to see as much as
there's a lot you could do with this.
As much as I don't want to be doing coverage for like something on top of WrestleMania, because that's the most insane time of the year. I would love if AEW was as petty as to be like, we're going to do like, I don't know, you All In or whatever. And we're going to do it in
Grand Slam, wherever, you know?
Right. And just be like, we're going to make it a real fucking big deal. I'm going to spend a lot. I'm going to lose money on this fucking thing just to be a prick about it. That would win so many points in my book for Tony Khan. Just to be doing the things that I wish I could do if I had money.
I'm usually anti the crowding on the Mania weekend thing, but actually I think you should do it here. Just because it's never been more wide open. You can do your own thing. You can create the collective in a destination city that you choose. You know, maybe AEW does create an event and you do create this sort of thing. But you've got options now because WWE is just going to be in Saudi. And no one's going to, you know, that entire fan base that normally saves up for that has 2027 wide open.
It would be the smart play, I would think, because you're probably going to get a lot of treatment from one of those big cities like Minneapolis or Chicago or whoever it might be that would want WrestleMania. Fucking New Orleans. How great would it be if it was New Orleans that did that?
W should run a fucking major event in New Orleans. I'd be for it.
And just be like, for the people that really wanted WrestleMania, you can't get that, but you're going to get AEW and you're going to get StarCast and you're going to get, you know, GCW is going to do something GCW. There. And yeah.
You're getting the collective from GCW. You're getting Bloodsport. You're getting...
New Japan Strong is going to do some show. Like,
I would love that, actually.
They should. They should really consider doing that because it's going to tap into a market that they are not going to have competition for with WWE, because it's not like WWE is going to do a show in the United States at the same time as WrestleMania and be like, okay, well, we want to try to do both at the same time. They can't. They don't have the resources to do that. At most, what they'll do is an NXT thing. But what's the likelihood that they might just do NXT takeover, or not takeover? God, they haven't called it takeover in forever. What's the one? It's got a shit name for Mania. Stand and Deliver. Do like Stand and Deliver Riyadh or something like that. Like, it's not the same scenario. And thumbs down, you know.
It's really, first of all, yeah, thumbs down. I mean, if you haven't gotten that, then you're not fucking listening. They haven't announced a date yet. That's another interesting thing. Maybe WrestleMania is in June for all the fuck we know.
Maybe.
You know, like, we're not beholden to any traditions right now. I'd made a joke when we started this, but well, it wasn't a joke, it was just an observation, that His Excellency, I don't know what his actual name is, the Saudi guy that they were thanking and praising
some dude.
For
he doesn't need to be called His Excellency.
For the event, he was thanking Vince and just like, you know, for starting the partnership and all that. And I just want to point out something here because I think this affects like wrestling fans, wrestling tickets. These ticket prices lately have been another level of greedy. A completely disgusting, insane level of greedy. And I'm seeing a comment here from someone from TKO that says, Vince McMahon was primarily pricing WWE tickets for families. Really? You gotta be so low that you can make a comment that makes that asshole look like, well, he was looking out for families. We're more greedy and we're looking out for the solo person. I don't know, but like, really, you're so greedy and low that you're making Vince seem halfway decent. He was more concerned about making sure families could go to the show. Wow,
makes him seem like fucking Santa Claus, right?
for real, like what the fuck?
Josh in the chat pointing out that the live chat for the WWE announcement was all you sold out. Good.
It was all you sold out. I saw a lot of Whose House. There's a lot. Some guy kept spamming R.I.P. Vince McMahon. I want to read this quote real quick. WWE is not where the UFC where the UFC yet is on ticket yield. We have our work to do there. We know we have a lot of room there because Vince McMahon was primarily pricing tickets for family and wasn't totally focused on maximizing opportunity there. You gotta be really fucking low to make Vince seem generous. What? Hit the bell. What are we doing here? Like, wow. It's fucking gross, man. I don't know.
I want so badly and I don't want to I especially don't want to get into politics on this episode, considering
I'm gonna say maybe you should stop where you are.
I feel the effects of the extinction event of this type of horrible people doing horrible things and somehow getting away with it. I am very crossing my fingers, pray to whatever potential God exists, whatever, that this is the furthest back that the slingshot is going until we slingshot forward into rational minds exist again. And I agree with Josh in the comments. Each week I get more tired of covering this company, and I get more tired of just being around basic human beings and people that make apologies for bad people and bad things, and bad people do bad things and people go, oh, I like that. What do you mean I am paying more money now? I like the idea that I'm paying more money. I should pay more. And it's like, you're a fucking idiot. You're all stupid. And for the people that are like, WWE should charge more, I got a great rock that repels things that I would love to sell you. What do you need it to repel? I got it for you. I got one. In fact, you should pay a lot of money for it. Do you see any bears around? That points if you get the reference. Yeah, I don't know much more we could say about this. They're probably going to announce stupid shit over the course of the next year or so that they're going to repeat ad nauseum. They're going to workshop a bunch of corporate speak bullshit, and we're going to hear it incessantly. WWE is bringing WrestleMania global. Oh, you could be the next country to host WrestleMania if you just bug your government enough to pay enough money. Wouldn't you love to see WrestleMania in London? Wouldn't you love to blah, 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 blah. Guys, The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania in Saudi. We're paying $50 billion for this thing or something.
Okay, but that's another thing. As soon as late last year, maybe even earlier this year, they're like, we won't do WrestleMania in London, we just take a plane like everybody else. But Saudi forked over enough money.
And to be fair, in case anybody's wondering, I'm not opposed to the idea of WrestleMania not being in the United States.
Yeah, that's not what this is.
This isn't like, oh, it's got to be America or otherwise harder. No, London getting WrestleMania, that'd be great for those fans. That'd be cool. They get all in Wembley and whatever. They make a lot of noise. They have a lot of fun. Sure. Totally fine for that. France, fucking whatever. As long as you don't do fucking 1-2 Simplement Du for the entire 2 days, then okay, but I don't like when this is tied into the politics that I disagree with. And, that's self-explanatory in a lot of ways. It's the quote that I keep going back to. There's a right and a wrong in the universe, and it's not that hard to find a distinction. I agree with Josh. Rock versus Roman at Mania 43 is going to be just as bad as Rock versus Cena at WrestleMania before. I would think it would be worse, actually.
The idea that they would hold off on a match that should have happened at that point, legitimately, 6-7 years prior.
Given the idea that they sort of teased it a little bit at the 2015 Royal Rumble, we're already past the 10-year mark. So we're going to get slimmed down Rock, who can't do as much in the ring and perpetually goes out there and breaks his own character against I'm 1.5 feet out of the company Roman Reigns in Saudi. I mean, they didn't announce it. For anybody that's curious, they didn't announce that, but we're all just kind of assuming that this is going to be that'll be the thing that they spend enough money for. And
well, Callum was joking before we got on the air, but they're going to try to get Taker to wrestle here.
I wasn't joking.
Well, there you go.
Well, that's the reports that come out about this, and when it became very aware what this announcement was going to be about, is the fact that they want to spend huge sums of money. This isn't like WrestleMania that you build towards. Like, you might have obviously the some major matches you put up there, but essentially it's going to be the Saudi Arabian prince or royal families. Let's see what stars from the past that when WWE used to be actually worth watching. Let's try to see how many of those we can bring back. Let's see how much money would it take to get The Rock to come back. Let's bring John Cena out of retirement after he retires at the end of this year. He comes back for that one show in Saudi Arabia and just does that for a big payday. Let's bring in Undertaker. Let's get Shawn Michaels to wrestle again. Let's get Stone Cold to wrestle again. Let's get see if we can find some sort of medical cure so Triple H can wrestle again. Just not have to worry about his pacemaker. Well, fuck it. If his pacemaker goes, it goes. It'll be entertaining to watch in the thing. They're super entertained by watching people die in public, so I'm sure they'll enjoy it very much. But
maybe that's the real gambit here is they've got a lot of money. They have a lot of resources. Rich people tend to be able to buy this whatever Illuminati shit that people do. And it's hey, if you bring WrestleMania here, we'll figure out the heart issues for you.
I'm super excited because the end thing is that based on what he said in that as well, and the stuff they said, if he's alive, they will bring Vince out to do the show and to appear on the show and to just stand and get applauded by the crowd of the crowd of seemingly ghosts that'll be in the crowd. But it's just that's what they're going to do, is they'll have people just clap like barking seals at Vince McMahon, and they'll have other people. They had Logan Paul there as one of the people doing it. Obviously, Logan Paul's a big deal now, so that's fine. But yeah, and it's they won't care if you're quote unquote cancelled in the States. They'll do what they want to do to try and get popular, famous people on the show. That has nothing to do with the current wrestlers. It doesn't matter at all about them. It's all about just getting the nostalgia acts and celebrities on this show, and that's kind of what WrestleMania has become anyway. But now it's just going to be taken up to a whole nother level with the Saudis involved.
This is going to be atrocious. This is going to be a fucking terrible WrestleMania that they'll just have talented people involved in, where it'll be man, it sure is a shame that this Rhea Ripley match is happening here, and God forbid she shows her fucking elbow, and that it happens to be over the course of a 9-hour event where 75% of it is commercials, and 40% of those commercials isn't Saudi Arabia great, and then swapping back and forth between this kind of celebrities in the crowd or whatever. It'd be kind of funny if they did the thing that they did the first show, where they had like that whole reserved section at the bottom, and it completely tanked the like atmosphere. So it ends up being just the only people that can afford to have the WrestleMania seats are these incredibly rich people that don't pay attention to it anyway. And then WrestleMania is just a dead zone. I want this to fail miserably. I have no fandom that trumps my morality in that kind of sense about like, I want this to be a dismal failure that like people make fun of, because bad people shouldn't be able to succeed in general.
So outside of Rock Roman, which the more we're talking, the more I don't think we're getting that. I think we're getting Rock Austin. I think they're going to try to do Rock Austin. They will back up the truck.
Oh, see, I think they're going to try to do Punk Austin, Rock Roman.
I know that would work, but that would also work anywhere. I can see the Saudis being like, they asked for Yokozuna, for God's sake. I can see them saying, we want Rock versus Austin.
It's
absolutely wild.
Since we're, a year and a half or whatever out from this, let's put one like major prediction out there, like one serious major, hey, I'm gonna look into my crystal ball and I really legitimately think that this match is the wildest I can think of that will happen. Would you go Rock Austin? Is that going to be your pick, or is it a different one with that kind of caveat?
With that caveat, I think, because I don't even think Rock Austin is that wild. I think they're going to try to make Undertaker do like some casket match or some buried alive shit. Like they're going to fucking try to make Taker be Taker. And that's insane.
What would be your wild card crystal ball prediction, Callum?
Rhea Ripley versus Stephanie McMahon.
It could happen. I'm gonna go with the Punk and Austin. I think that they're gonna try desperately to get that to happen. And
I think they're gonna try to get Austin to work no matter what. I think that's a lock. I think, and I'll say this, I think WrestleMania is gonna be one night.
Because they didn't announce a date, and from what I had heard, I didn't hear absolutely everything because I muted when like
I don't believe
Mr.
I heard
Guy,
say anything
I don't know his name, when he came out.
I saw the report speculation suggesting that all WrestleMania weekend will be hosted in Saudi Arabia, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be like a 2-night WrestleMania, but it means that it'll be the Raw and SmackDown prior to WrestleMania would also take place in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and then that could include an NXT Stand and Deliver. It could include...
That'll take place in Full Sail. That won't be in Saudi Arabia.
It could include another...
That'll take place at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Callum.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Maybe.
Regardless, they wouldn't do it in Saudi Arabia because no one would go.
You want to see Dark State in Saudi Arabia?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if in Saudi Arabia, Cutler can do the whole up in your butt things. For that matter, Blake Monroe shows up with her in her bathtub, and they explode. They'd spontaneously combust. I'd be like, oh my god, hot woman showing a lot of skin. God, we can't handle this. We're clearly savages and just need to start rioting. If somebody, look at them gams.
Yeah, because there's nothing sexy about Rhea Ripley in top to bottom leather.
Right, yeah.
Nothing at all.
No, you got to play that game where you pretend just the way that... Okay, I'm not going to get too much into for Republicans here. So, Yeah, that's one of the big talking points. The other thing that's another major talking point for this week, which we have some other hot tags that we're going to get into as well. We do technically have a quote unquote WWE event that is happening later on today, although it's a AAA WWE event. A lot of WWE people are involved in Worlds Collide, so it's not completely disassociated from the main roster, and there are some implications of what could happen going forward with like titles and stuff. We don't follow AAA in any kind of like major capacity, but I figured it's worth doing a discussion thing from here, at least in the general sense. I don't anticipate I'm going to do a post show for this. I don't really think a whole lot of people are super interested in a post show that'll happen at like, I don't know, 2 a.m. for a AAA show, because this starts at 10 o'clock after SmackDown. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Leave a comment in the meantime. If enough people get another viewpoint out there before this starts, then maybe I will do that. But AAA Worlds Collide, the second Worlds Collide of this year, so we got to call it Worlds Collide Las Vegas, is happening. And 6 matches are currently announced for this show. Or at least it was last night, or like 3 a.m. when I last looked at this. Let me double check to see if they didn't just announce like 7 other things. And I don't see anything new, so that's good. So for the sake of it, let's just breeze through some predictions here. Laredo Kid, Masquerita, Sagrada, La Parca, and Octagon Jr. are up against the LWOs, Joaquin Wilde, Cruz del Toro, you got Lince Dorado, and you got Mini Abismo Negro. I don't think I've seen that name, unless maybe it was in the Battle Royal or something. So I don't remember.
Masquerita Sagrada and Mini Abismo Negro are both like mini wrestlers.
Minis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Sagrada is? I didn't recognize that name either.
Yeah, Masquerita Sagrada is. So they're both little wrestlers.
The way you can tell if you ever are following one of these events is if it has like that ending of Ita, it usually means smaller, like, so I think that'll be actually a fun match. I tend to like these whenever I see a AAA show.
Neither of them are the one that interacted with Omos, right?
Yes.
Or was who?
I believe that was
Sagrada.
No. That was Microman.
Okay, I thought, yeah. Hell yeah.
I thought it might have been Sagrada, but that was Microman.
I'm going to be more excited to this match than any of the other ones, I guess, then, because minis are fun. And
Were you not looking forward to the iguana?
Not anymore.
Hey, they're selling the iguana.
Oh, is it? Has it worn off on you now?
It already has.
Did that wear off more than Joe Hendry just busting through the staging to whenever his name is said?
Yeah, I still like that.
Well,
if the iguana can, maybe
that's more of Tony's humor.
The more ridiculous it gets, the better it will be. So maybe merge them together, get that urge to merge, and somebody could say Mr. Iguana, and then Mr. Iguana can bust through and smile like Joe Hendry.
I'll give real quick. I'll give Danhausen some credit. He put out a video a couple weeks ago where he was like, "I have to do something to regain attention from the audience." So he put on a blonde wig and did the Joe Hendry, but instead of an iguana on his hand, it was a Kermit the Frog. and he's like, "This will get him." I give him credit for understanding the landscape, but yeah, I can't say I'm super like, "Oh my god, got to see more of Layeska." I do wonder how much of this Demon Balor puppet we're going to be getting moving forward.
Well, they are against each other. Finn Balor and Roxanne Perez are against Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana, so we'll probably get the puppet thing again. For that matter, the Lucha Showcase, I'm just going with Octagon's team. And I'm going to go Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana for the mixed tag.
Yeah. I would like
neither match matters.
I would like to see Finn Balor doing other things. I really would.
Fabi Apache or Fabi Apache? It's Fabi, right?
I say Fabi.
Fabi Apache.
That's what
Natalia, or is it Natalia?
Well, if I've been saying that wrong for nearly 20 years, then I'm cooked.
Natalia is that was even hard to say. Apache against Natalia for the number one contenders to determine who fights for the women's title. Both of them lost their match at the last event when they were in a bid for the women's title. So they're just going back around to the same people again.
Welcome to AAA booking.
Is that how AAA typically books?
Well, they don't book well, so that's kind of what. That's kind of no, it's not the same people. So it's just that they're bad at booking things, so that's what they do. So.
I guess Apache wins. See,
Natty will win.
Natty cost Apache on NXT, so I kind of just assume that they're going to do the opposite here. That's like, you lost there, but then you win.
Who cares? Oh no, Fabi Apache won't wrestle for the Speed Championship. Natty will win here, and I think Natty will eventually capture the belt.
You think we're going to get Natty as the future champion for that, Cal?
Who cares?
I saw that response coming.
We got a 4-way for the Latin American Championship. JD McDonough, Dragon Lee, the champion, El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., and the greatest North American, Ethan Page. I find
what the fuck is this?
I think
the Latin
it would
American
be funny.
title will be competed with 2 Latin American guys, an Irish guy and a Canadian.
Yeah. So I kind of want Ethan Page to win.
Are you against global localization?
I want Page to win, so that way he could be like, I'm the greatest Latin American as well. But I'm assuming Wagner retains.
Wagner should retain here. I hope they don't do what you just said.
They'll probably have Wagner retain. I think he only recently won that title anyway. And yeah, it just seems odd to just see 3 WWE guys against the 1 AAA guy in this match.
You know what else is odd? I think the New Day are about to become the AAA World Tag Team Champions.
See, I don't. I assume that Pagano and Psycho Clown are going to retain, and that they're just up against 2 people who are willing to be there and lose. Because they didn't win those like that long ago. They won it at the last event, I think, right?
Yeah, against
Los Garza.
Los Garza, yeah.
So Triple Mania was 27 days ago. Now, that's not to say that titles don't change hands super fast. Wait, is that 27 days ago? That doesn't make any sense because the other one says Triple Mania was 19 days ago. One of these Wikipedia things is off. So, whatever. The point being, it's soon enough that I would think logically you wouldn't have titles change hands that fast, but people have lost belts within hours after holding them. They've lost them days, weeks, months. So it could happen. New Day could win those tag team titles, but I'm going to go Pagano and Psycho Clown.
I'm going to go New Day.
Isn't Woods actually injured? Now I'm thinking about it. I thought that he was dealing with some kind of an injury.
He's been playing up a neck injury on television, but I haven't actually seen him, be injured. He's been wrestling.
Well, the real important...
Champs retain. Yeah.
Champs retain there. The real important one is the Mega Championship. It's Vikingo against Dominic Mysterio. I can only imagine 2 real scenarios happening for taking the title off Vikingo. It's Dom or it's El Grande Americano. And that could be kind of a combo thing where I'll just go ahead and say it. I think Dom's winning. I kind of hope Dom wins. I think it's actually the smart play for Dom to win, since for some fucking reason, these people are pro Del Rio and anti Vikingo. So just take the title off of him, put it on Dom. He can carry it around on Raw. That gives you some more attention. He can call himself the King of the Luchas, like they had trademarked, or the King of the Lucas, if they still have that trademark. And then El Grande Americano could be the guy that beats Mysterio for it. And he'll probably help Dom win here.
it's super weird that people like Kaiser in the role, but he's doing a good job. And I think Dom should win here. He'll get a huge pop. I know the difference between that and the other WWE victories I proclaimed is I think this is the only one that the people would actually enjoy. So I think this is the right move. With the others, I just think that WWE wants to make themselves seem like, isn't it a big deal that we have champions from other promotions? But with Dom, I think he actually should win the belt.
Who would have thought that the way to quote unquote save AAA, the Lucha Libre Mexican promotion, would be to put the Canadian and the Irish guy and the New Day and Natalia and Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio doesn't count for that, but and German guy dressed up as a luchador. An American luchador.
American guy portraying a luchador.
Oh my god! What fucking! I thought 2019 was weird. I thought 2020 was weird. I thought.
At this point, Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar seems tame.
Oh shit! It's gonna happen at Mania in Saudi.
It's gonna happen at Triple Mania in Saudi.
Could they have just given him that instead? You guys are getting Triple Mania. It's triple the WrestleMania. And then you have to pay 3 times the amount for it. Come on, WWE, you just missed out on having a 3 time multiplication payday on this. Ugh. You call yourself a company. I hope Dom wins. I think Dom wins.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Dom.
I think Dom will win because the crowd actually hates Vikingo, so I think they'll just put it on Dom regardless. And yeah, as I'm not in the camp of I want him to win. I'm completely indifferent in him winning, but I think it's likely that he'll win.
My son, Dom.
You gotta do some dirty work to get people to turn on Vikingo, who's an amazing athlete and is the best luchador going right now.
I think there's a very good chance that like Dom wins, and then in the next few months, maybe even going towards WrestleMania, it's Dom versus Ray for the AAA mega title.
Very good chance that happens.
I could see that happening, especially if they do a partner event. I could see it happening in San Diego over Survivor Series weekend.
Survivor Series is San Diego?
Yeah.
I keep forgetting. All I keep remembering is, of course, it's War Games. Let's go back and talk about some other things here. On the AEW front, Wardlow's injured. So,
yeah, this sucks, dude. This sucks.
This is Poor guy. Like the 5th time that this has happened, where it's like, okay, Wardlow, we're gonna restart. Ah, shit. You know?
I got nothing to say, but poor guy. This sucks.
And it's not even an injury that's like a, he tweaked his ankle.
He'll be out for a while.
Yeah, like he'll be out for the next month, but he'll come back, whatever. Torn pec's, like 7 months, bare minimum or so?
Unless you're John Cena in 2007.
True.
Then you'll be back in 3.
Yes, it's just one of those unfortunate things that seemingly keeps happening to this guy, which is a shame because it looked like he was going to be part of a fairly big deal in terms of being pushed as part of the Don Callis family, especially if Takesha's going to be move towards a babyface thing. They need people to help fill those slots. Yeah, by all reports, were saying that he was a candidate to challenge Hangman Page in the near future for the world title. So I think that, that's like they'll need to reshuffle some things now. Kind of renders that moment at Forbidden Door kind of meaningless. But they've tried to do something with the guy that's kind of struggled to gain a foothold for a long time, and then something just unfortunate like this happens. Like you can't just predict this sort of thing to happen. So yeah, it's just an unfortunate thing that happens.
It's not AEW's fault. It's not Wardlow's fault, unless he did something stupid, which of course I doubt that he was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to like flex my pec in a different way and or something. Yeah, he wouldn't do that. But it is like, it's kind of I think we're past heading into snake bit territory of like, if I were Tony Khan, I probably wouldn't put a lot of faith that the Wardlow stuff that I would try again will work out. And if I were WWE, I'd probably be like, I don't know if I really want to hire that guy. He seems injury prone. Just as far as investments are concerned. But that sucks for him because, there were plenty of different points where I was just like, okay, if you switch this around a little bit, I think this could work. We'll talk about Daniel Garcia when we break down the AEW stuff for Dynamite, because that's another person who's like, all right, attempt number 8. Let's see if this one works, kind of a thing. But let's backtrack for some other things. Let's go to last week's SmackDown. This week's SmackDown is one of those weeks where they've only got 3 things announced. Brock Lesnar's going to be there, and Tiffany Stratton is going to go up against Jade Cargill for the women's title. Drew McIntyre is fighting Randy Orton. It's one of those like pretty textbook standard and kind of events. Brock Lesnar had came out last week, did the whole thing with John Cena, cost him the US title. They had a match between Sami Zayn and John Cena. It's the last SmackDown in John Cena. He's going to be on Raw for 2 episodes, I believe. And we're really like at crunch time for Cena's stuff. I assume Rob will agree with me on this one. There's pretty much no chance that these last couple things are going to make up for the lack of doing a lot of other things, right?
Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of time between now and December to talk about how much I fucking hated this. They're trying, and it's almost pissing me off because the couple things he's done where he's now like having fun and he's doing, well, I know I'm not going to get to wrestle AJ, so I'll do the Styles Clash. I know I'm not going to get to wrestle Edge, so I'll do a spear. That was more of what I wanted from the jump. And okay, you're going to have him wrestle Lesnar again, but Lesnar has all the stank on him, so I don't really care. His final match is in DC. Yippee. I don't know, man. I don't see them riding the course here with their last 4 matches or whatever it's going to be. Maybe even less than 4. Maybe it's 2 after Lesnar.
And the big thing that happened on SmackDown, the reason why I'm saying let's go back and talk about SmackDown, if we would have had hot tags or something in a different, not before SmackDown took place or whatever, this would have been like oh my God, this is the major topic. But then a whole week goes by and it seems like it's been a year. AJ Lee returned.
Yeah.
Officially. And yeah, we're past the point she's already made a second appearance. So it's like old news, quote unquote. But
which is terrible, by the way. But
right. Yeah. But it's like AJ Lee's back. That's like fucking hell yeah. She looks exactly the same. She's got the character,
if not better, in terms of tone. Right. She's shredded, and she looks great. And
she seems like she's having fun.
She signed a new deal, so this isn't a one-off.
Right.
She's gonna wrestle Roxanne. She's gonna do all the things, check off all the boxes.
I want her to
be. I just realized that her first Rumble might be in Saudi. But
yeah, that's right.
This was such a first of all, Becky and CM Punk have great rival chemistry. I've enjoyed the stuff he's done with Becky almost more than anything I've done or he's done with anyone not named Drew McIntyre. So that's been fun to watch. And then for AJ to get the pop, and then I've said this as the sentimental person I am, watching Punk just watch her and be beaming for her was a really cute part of the whole thing. I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun, when they do the the tags. I'm more interested in all the other stuff that she's going to get the chance to do. But it was cool. I thought that she got a massive pop. Like, place fucking blew.
Biggest pops that's happened in a long time. And they knew that it was going to be AJ, so it wasn't like it was, when The Rock comes out of nowhere and people go, oh shit, I thought that the next segment was going to be a backstage interview with Jackie Redmond, like, that kind of thing.
Which, by the way, is fucking bananas because, like, yes, AJ does, because of the roles she was in, actually have the ability to say she did headline a few Raws in the summer of 2012. But when you really think about, like, what AJ's era was, the fact that she was the main event segment and everybody was just losing their mind to see her is crazy. You know what I mean? That's, like, a really cool thing when you think about it. But I'm glad she's back. It seems like she's really happy. It seems healthy. I hope it stays that way. And I hope that it's fulfilling for her and all the people that want to work with her.
She needs to win that Women's Intercontinental title and drop it to Roxanne.
That's what I see happening.
It should happen that way. Roxanne's the perfect person to be holding that belt. She's the perfect person to beat AJ Lee for that. That would make, like, her life, you know what I mean? Like,
and if you're not going to do a match between them for a belt, they make perfect sense for, all right, it's Roxanne's dream match. That can be a filler match on a night of Mania if you're not going to do it for a belt prior to Mania.
Which you might as well do it for the title.
You could also do it for a belt at Mania, but I'm
right. Saying. Yeah. Have AJ Lee beat Becky Lynch. Say, what's the next event after WrestlePalooza? Crown Jewel, I think.
Series? Oh, that's right, Crown Jewel. Yeah.
So either do that there or do that at whatever's after that if you're able to,
do it on Raw.
Or do it on Raw, either one. And then Lee can carry the title for a little bit. She could have a feud with, Bayley. She could have a feud with Lyra, whatever you might, play around with. And then if Raquel is still teaming with Roxanne around the time that you start building up with that, have AJ Lee against Raquel, and then you use that as the throw in to Roxanne at Mania. Roxanne beats her at Mania. Major moment, wins the belt. You get AJ Lee on the card. You get the fucking title on the card that didn't get a chance before for some reason.
AJ Lee gets a singles match at Mania, which was, like, unheard of in her day.
Right.
Yeah, I think you check off a nice number of sentimental boxes can get checked off in this run, and that's really all I want to see from it.
Are there any particular people you are looking forward? Well, I know you're not really going to be watching, but in theory, Callum, that you would be looking forward to seeing AJ Lee go up against that you would think would pair really well?
Nope. Yep, just a no for that.
He said no. He said nope.
Yep.
I thought that there might be a follow-up. No, I think AJ Lee sucks, or no,
AJ Lee AJ Lee's popularity is based on her character work, her promo ability. Like, I don't remember any good match she ever had. Like, she had okay matches, but, like, I've never gone back and watched an AJ Lee match because of its quality. So.
And that's I think that is a realistic thing. Like, we do need to talk about here, because Nikki was around for the start of when they started having longer matches. AJ Lee was not. I think her last match was like I'll check Cage match, but I'm sure it didn't exceed.
It's probably like 4.5 minutes or something.
Like,
because it was Paige and AJ against
someone else against Bellas,
like the Bellas, and then it was like the next night on Raw they added in like Alicia Fox and somebody.
AJ and Naomi against Natalya and the Bellas, and I do stand corrected. It was at least 13 minutes long apparently. However, the match they had at WrestleMania was 6 minutes and 40 seconds the night before. Yeah. So we're not dealing with somebody who's adept at going 20 minutes plus.
Yeah.
That's actually might surprise people, and I'm sure that, like, considering the talent that they have in the women's division, that she'd have some good matches with them. But it's not really a case of I'm not particularly excited or fussed seeing her, because I never was fussed seeing her wrestle matches in the past. Like, again, that's due to the period of time with the state that the Divas division was at the point of just like pretty much everything got better, and this isn't like correlation equaling causation, but things got a lot better after she left, and that's just due to the fact that the standard of women's wrestling just improved significantly beyond her time there. And so we'll have to see whether she levels up to the competition. I'm sure there'll be people like Becky who's experienced enough to carry her through these things as well. But yeah, I don't ever think of her as, when I think of AJ Lee and her legacy up to this point, it's not due to the quality of matches that she had. I didn't even, like, she held the Divas Championship longer than anyone prior to Nikki Bella's like final reign, and I can't remember a single match that she had in that beyond the match that she had with Paige to drop the title when she lost it in a couple of seconds. So there's no standout match from that reign at all. And yeah, she's more notable for her character work, the psycho that made out with half the roster. That's kind of what AJ Lee was for me. So
yeah, I mean, you know, when it comes to memories of AJ, it was really like the character work and how she did present a different view to the modern divas at the time.
She went by the anti-diva.
No, that was Paige.
Weren't they both the anti-divas? Wasn't that the whole, like... Didn't that lead into Paige, or am I remembering that correctly?
I know that like, as far as like...
She did her own like pipe... She did her own pipe bomb thing. That's the kind of the
where
big...
she did the talent isn't sexually transmitted. And I think it's... I think a lot of what people want to see from her is going to be before the bell.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see how it goes once the bell rings.
Vibes, baby. It's all about the vibes.
Yeah.
But I do like AJ Lee. I'm glad that she's there. That's cool.
That was going to be my comment. Is I hate the vibes, but I'm a hypocrite here because I love the vibes.
I want to see AJ Lee against Zelina Vega dressed up as AJ Lee.
Actually dressed up as AJ Lee and not dressed up as whatever they put her in to portray AJ Lee that didn't look like AJ Lee.
Yeah, and also, like, far be it from me to, well, I love doing this role, so I'll continue it as being the guy to piss on over everybody's fun. But she is also as a woman that was very strongly proponent for, like, the obviously that tweet that she gave out to Stephanie McMahon in response to, like, a tweet a while ago about talking about equal rights and the payment of women and everything along those lines. It does kind of smack a little bit as, I wouldn't say hypocritical, but bad timing that she decided to return at a point when obviously they've had this big relationship with Saudi Arabia and their treatment of women's rights in general, and also at the point where WWE is in the middle of a sex trafficking lawsuit.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I mean, we could get into the whole discussion of, like, was her return used as a shield to kind of go, hey, Brock Lesnar's here, but you're not going to care about that because we got AJ, baby.
Well, yeah, of course it's part of that. Well, there's two reasons. One, like, that's obviously part of it, and it's a good reason to do it. And secondly, just Punk works there. And Punk didn't want to bring her, well, either, like, wasn't willing to bring her back, or she didn't feel interested going when he was in AEW. They probably, as I say, they probably did reach out to her. They'd be stupid not to, but, like, she probably wasn't interested at that point in time, and now it just feels like she's willing to do it. She's probably getting paid a lot. And Punk's happy and doing good things in WWE, so okay, that's time to bring her back and get involved in this. The bigger issue is probably, well, just from a creative standpoint, because I don't know if you mentioned, like, she signed this deal and she's probably going to get, hopefully, involved in a lot of matches with the women that are currently there, but it's how closely tied she is to Punk throughout the entire thing. Because she's coming in with this feud with Punk against Becky and Seth. The fact that Becky's now part of this faction with Seth's crew, he's part of the Vision. So the idea is basically AJ Lee's entire run, because we don't know how long this contract's for, unless she said specifically it's like for a year or 2 years or however long it ends up being, because it could just be. Yeah, it could just be a contract until WrestleMania next year, or it could be a contract for 3 months or anything along those lines. We have no idea.
Or like maybe not a number of months, but hey, we want
number of dates or whatever.
Yeah, we'll do 6 matches. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So we don't know how much of that is just going to be completely revolved around Becky and Punk and Rollins. So, as I would refrain people. It might end up being like, I'm not even saying that these matches are bad, but I would kind of like ask people to maybe temper their expectations about how long this run is going and how diverse the opponent she's going to have will be. Just, I mean, look at the evidence of how they've treated John Cena's final run, and just look at that and just go, yeah, like temper your expectations a little bit.
I will say, just in terms of what you mentioned about AEW, I do think it's a lot different from her compared to Punk. Punk could go back to AEW, and he had like the built-in histories at ROH. There was even, Brian was coming in, even though they never got to do anything. There was more of Punk outside of WWE that you could explore. With AJ, it almost feels like it had to be with that theme song in that setting, working people like Bayley, Roxanne, you know what I mean? It feels different than Punk.
For Danny in the chat, this is just audio. We're not on camera for this edition. I didn't bother to do my hair and shit. Let's be perfectly honest. I didn't feel like looking presentable. And I woke up at 2:15 instead of starting at 3. So this is predominantly not video.
I don't think any professional wrestling podcaster is ever worried about looking presentable, but okay.
I try.
Kudos to you.
I try to put a little bit of effort. The follow-up of AJ Lee on Monday Night Raw and all that stuff, that kind of factors into what we already said. So I don't think we really need to break that down too much. Some other stuff that happened on Raw.
Yeah, well, I do want to bring up the therapy chant.
That's true.
That was interesting. Because it is cool. Again, it's one of those things where it's nice that she's getting this reception in that everybody knows what the Divas era was. Like, you're not breaking minds to be like, hey, they barely got 2 minutes of promo time. So to have her get the chance to say, I had to leave, I went to therapy, I went on a mental health journey, and then get cheered for it, is pretty cool. I'm sure she's soaking that all in, and I think that's great.
3 cheers for therapy. If it works for you, it works for you. If you don't think that it'll work for you, try it out anyway. You probably need it.
And sometimes trying it.
Sometimes it doesn't work out. Yeah. Actually, a lot of the stuff that happened on Raw, now I'm going back on this, we already kind of touched upon a little bit. One of the things that we didn't mention yet, though, this AJ Styles promo that happened, where during the episode, and you wouldn't know this if you were in the United States and, didn't have the whole commercials thing going on, he cut a promo about how Meechan's on SmackDown and Gallows and Anderson aren't there anymore, and somebody in WWE has it out for him and doesn't want him to succeed. Some people were like, it's a shoot. It's not. But I don't know where they're going with this. And the couple ideas that I'm thinking of are not particularly great, so I'm sort of hoping that maybe there's something I don't see here. I hope this isn't just, I've got a bone to pick with Adam Pearce that leads to nothing. Because it kind of feels like that's been happening with Randy Orton and Nick Aldis, that they want to continue to have issues, but it doesn't seem like they're actually going to pull the trigger on a match. And if it's just a matter of AJ being like, I need more success and I'm going to blame it on everybody because that's the easy way to turn heel, I think that that's a mistake. So I'm sort of, I don't know. I'm hesitant to believe that this is anything worth getting excited about. But it could be something interesting. What do you guys think?
AJ's time's running out. And I think they want to do something with him. The thing is, the Good Brothers would be stupid to go back. And I don't think they're going to. I don't know where you go with this. But I know AJ's time's running out. And I'm sure he wants to have some fun before he hangs it up. The only thing I can think of is, do you pair him with Finn? But I'm honestly so sick of, you kind of know Bullet Club. This isn't that with these guys. So I don't want to necessarily see that. You know what I mean? But I hope it's something fun.
I mean, this sort of work shoot style promo just reeks of Paul Heyman. Like, I can guarantee that Paul Heyman has either suggested it or is actively the one working on this story with AJ. So I don't know where it's leading. I think that there's a good chance if Paul Heyman is behind it, that it's going to end with Bron Breakker ending AJ's career. I'd say, like, that doesn't necessarily have to be like next week or anything like that, but I think if the idea is AJ is hanging out soon, then it's going to be Bron Breakker is going to be the one that ends his career. So that gives a feather in Bron Breakker's cap. Because fundamentally, Bron Breakker's success is symbiotic to Heyman's success. Because he's the guy that will keep Heyman in the game for like 10 years longer.
It could be a means to get that going, and somebody has it out for me, and that person's Paul Heyman, and then they get like a Seth Rollins match out of it too. You know, Styles fights Rollins at like Royal Rumble or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you could always build up like to give like one last World Title match just to add another feather in Seth's cap as well. But yeah, I mean, the wider thing that I'd probably say or suggest is that I don't think they know what they're doing with AJ Styles thing. They just reacted to a lot of news and speculation surrounding the fact that like maybe Triple H doesn't like him or don't know how to use him, or they're just like not booking him properly, and they decided, hey, let's just turn that into like a promo, and then we'll see what happens.
Josh in the crowd, chat, not the crowd, asking if we think that AJ is going to end up going to AEW after his career in WWE is over. I don't think so. I think
it's genuinely, it's one of the few that I'm like, I actively want that one.
At this point, I do as well.
I'm kind of over it now. But that's like the only thing I said that I wanted was to do the AJ and Kenny match, because that's wrapping up a story from years and years ago. But like at the end of the day, when was the last time AJ had a great match?
See, I find it harder.
Probably the Cody title match from like a couple of years back.
Well, hold on, that was like a little bit over a year ago at this point.
Okay, a little bit over a year ago. Yeah. So as I say, I'm not saying that AJ couldn't have a great match again, but he just seems like he's unmotivated now, and maybe going again. But I don't think that he'd be super motivated by going to AEW and just having great matches again. So strangely enough, as a guy who spent the vast majority of his career at a promotion that was well below his level, just having great matches with people, I don't think that he's motivated by having great matches anymore.
Other things on Raw, I thought this was kind of weird. Again, they did the whole thing with this women's world title where they were like, let's announce something and then just be like, never mind. There hasn't been any clarification of why Stephanie Vaquero was not on Raw, but she was on NXT the night afterward, and they just decided not to do this contract signing thing. And just like, well, but the match is going to happen. Shut up. Talk about snakebit. What the fuck is happening with this women's world championship? Why can't they get this sorted out?
It sounds super negative, and it's usually Callum's job, but I don't think they care. I think they're like, yeah, we'll get to it. We don't need to actually worry about anything until we're ready to start booking what we want for Mania. We're in the fall time. That's the downtime. We got to figure out how to get 10 girls in War Games. And we'll worry about the titles later. Like,
and how many people are on your writing team? You know? How many people can be tasked to figure this out? But it's just killing the momentum. It's killing the interest to just be like, just wait. I liked the thing that you sent me from Asuka making fun of herself with how she yells at Kyrie, and she just took the clip from The Simpsons.
She's very funny. I like Asuka.
Asuka's great, yeah. Jimmy and Jay arguing, LA Knight. Some people going, oh, Jey Uso turned heel. I don't register the spear as a heel turn. I register that as we don't want either of these to be heel, but we want them to feud with each other to keep some kind of extra element of this and get people talking. I don't think Jay's gonna be a heel next time we see him. And LA Knight certainly should not be a heel out of this. He shouldn't be like, hey, motherfuckers, stop hitting me if you're my ally, and then somebody else beats him up afterward.
That's the mistake they made with AJ last year, where they were like, no, you're going to be a heel and you're going to fight LA Knight. It's like, nobody wants to fucking boo AJ Styles. Why you change his theme song?
Yeah.
And I was, to the surprise of no one, I would prefer Jimmy and Jay to just stay together for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just do some tag shit. Like,
they should.
You got Lucha Brothers are there. They're not teaming right now, but they're there. You got the Motor City Machine Guns. You got some fun teams you can play around with. Just keep Jimmy and Jay together.
Well, that report about before Raw happened, I had seen a bunch of Scoops websites being like, LA Knight's going to start a feud with Rusev, and then he's like, I'm just going to have a backstage segment with Penta and start with Penta. I'm like, that's not remotely. Some virus got crossed there. Shout out to Ava. Ava's great. Talking about NXT. They are going to have NXT Homecoming next week. So, as I mentioned before, Stephanie Vaquero is going to be on there with Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton up against Fatal Influence. They kind of don't want to advertise that the women's tag titles are on the line, I guess because Charlotte might be injured legitimately. So,
boy, that
even though they advertised that match is supposed to happen and they put Charlotte and Alexa on the promotional thing for NXT Homecoming, they didn't put the graphic up. So if that happens there, it'll be the culling, Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley against Bliss and Flair, which makes sense. They balance each other out. You got the tall blonde woman against the tiny dark pixie kind of character. And Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa are going to be up against Trick Mello Gang. That's cool.
So you know what I think this is?
Tag match.
I think this is the soft run for hey, you just want to be a tag team on the main roster?
I think that it could be, and I'm not opposed to it.
I'm not opposed to it either, but I do think that both men have great abilities to be single stars. But by the way, so do the men in the other team. So maybe that just is what it is.
There was a flag match on NXT. Thankfully, that had the right type of ending to a flag match. Since the other one that they had was, 2017 or something? It's been a while since they did a flag match.
Oh, and where they try to do like we're going to plant our flag in the fucking ground, baby.
You have to plant the flag, which is so stupid. I do not understand why they thought that was a good idea. But Taviana Heights beats Ethan Page, and this made no sense to me at all. I get the idea that this is a scenario where WWE goes, just shut the fuck up. I know it doesn't make sense, but I don't care. Can you just ignore logic? Because that is the answer to this. Taviana Heights beats Ethan Page, the North American champion, in a flag match. Should theoretically get announced for a title match right afterward, but instead Tyler Breeze makes his return and poses over Ethan Page. Canadian Tyler Breeze is going to fight for the North American.
He's Canadian.
Prince Pretty is back, though. That's cool. I assume that this is a one-off and not that he is going to be wrestling on every week or something, but it could always spark something where he continues to wrestle. Maybe they bring him back in some other capacity or something. I am fully assuming that Ethan Page retains that championship and then Tavion Heights gets announced for No Mercy, because it would be weird if Tavion Heights won a flag match over a champion and then doesn't get that match. But I love the idea about Tyler Breeze being back. That's cool. I like Tyler Breeze. Always was a fan of him.
Yeah, and I mean, not that he's like old in any way, but dude looks like he hasn't changed at all since 2014. So if they wanted to get some mileage out of that, they could.
What a stark difference between Tyler Breeze has been out of the game for his last match in WWE was 2021. So for 4 years, he hasn't wrestled in WWE. Looks exactly the same. 10 years ago, AJ Lee had her last match. Looks exactly the same. Man, I remember in like 1992 looking at footage of some wrestlers and then in 94 being like, whoa, what happened? Like, Jesus Christ, this guy aged 8 years in the span of one. And I look at myself in the mirror and I go, oh man, I look so much worse than I did 2 years ago. Like, I'm losing my hair. I've got, more wrinkles around my fucking eyes. Like, I'm the difference between 36 and 38 is killing me.
But, I mean, honestly, it just speaks to how great that gimmick was for Tyler Breeze, who's legitimately still pretty.
Prince Pretty, yeah. I'm a big fan of seeing him return in that capacity. Not a big fan of Dark State. They had their match. Joe Hendry had his whole thing going on. Lexis King had a whole thing. Trying to figure out if there's anything else that we need to talk about here. I did like that Lexis King was gloating about beating Miles Bourne in the blindfold match. Lexis King's exactly the type of asshole character that I enjoy.
Which is crazy to me.
He's just a dick. It's great. And they didn't announce anything between Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe for next week, but it was just one of those things like, remember, this feud is still going on.
Mercy. They're just dragging it out.
Yeah. Any other talking points from NXT before we move on to AEW and round this out?
Nah.
I can't think of anything else, at least. So, for that matter, too, any other hot tags that I am forgetting about, apologies. Leave them in the live chat if there's some other kind of talking point that I'm forgetting about. But mostly this week was like, it seems like Jerry Lawler had another stroke, but that he's getting a little bit better. And, oh, good. I'm seeing people trashing the WrestleMania things. That's good.
Royal Rumble 2026 set for January 31st. That was not announced previously. So there's that. Still no date announced for this upcoming Saudi Mania. There's a Sami Zayn Open Challenge set for tonight. So I think they're just going to do that every week, which is fine. They're really booing him, though. I feel almost bad.
I don't get the Sammy Hogan thing.
People just don't like whenever somebody has reached a threshold of like they're no longer an underdog. Now, granted, I can understand if you're annoyed with the underdog because they're, because he's not as much of one and they continue to try and present it like they are, but you know what I mean?
So then on the AEW side of things, at least, the Dynamite episode started off Hangman Adam Page beating Josh Alexander, leading into a response with Kyle Fletcher, and we're going to get the TNT title not on the line, but the AEW World title on the line, champion versus champion at All Out. I think it's a little too early. I don't quite think
he's not fucking losing.
I mean, he's
going to be a great match though.
Page isn't losing, of course, but like I do think it's a little bit strange that just after however many weeks that Fletcher won the TNT title, we're already jumping straight to the world title and then giving him a loss. So, I mean, they're partially telling the story of it is a little too early, but I don't know if I like that idea. You know what I mean?
Well, they literally did it last year with Jack Perry, and they did it like 2 weeks later after he won the belt. So I think Kyle Fletcher will be okay, and I think it'll be a banger match, which at the end of the day for this audience is the main takeaway.
I think it's a means of demonstrating that Kyle Fletcher is going to be like a serious main event act for AEW moving forward, and this is like giving him a first opportunity at a big main event match for the title. So yeah, obviously he's not going to win the title here, but it's a means of continuing that elevation for him before he goes on to focusing on defending the TNT Championship more. Should also probably mention that it was announced earlier the show that Bryan Danielson's joined the AEW commentary team full time.
I'm about 50-50 on it. He's not bad. He's not great.
He's amazing. Yeah, he's brilliant.
He's fantastic.
He immediately became, outside of Excalibur, the best commentator they have with that performance.
I didn't get anything out of it that I thought we need to start bowing down and praising the hell out of him. I think he's fine.
I would agree with not bowing down.
You think WWE commentators are good? They all suck compared to him.
But I also think that that you watch AEW differently. Now, granted, not saying you pay a lot of attention to WWE these days, but you do watch AEW differently, and
he's there to be like a wrestling voice on a wrestling show, which is what you kind of need.
I liked him in the Cruiserweight Classic.
It's exactly, but it's that.
I don't think everybody should, after this one show, be like, man, God, he's the best announcer that's ever existed, kind of a thing. I think everybody's kind of going a little bit too crazy, but it's like, yeah, he's good. I think
everybody I think everybody, barring him ever saying anything stupid, I think Danielson's just one of those people that everybody likes. People just want him to be around. They like his energy.
Also, I don't think anyone's saying that. Well, if people are saying it's great contrary all the time, they're just the hyperbole.
Yeah, that's
everyone does this way. But he's I think he's clearly passionate about what he talks about. Like, he loves professional wrestling, and he just he's super. You can feel that passion radiate for what he talks about. And I think that his movement onto the commentary is a good thing, because I think it's time that Shivani takes a step back, because he just isn't at that level anymore. That
seems to be a more recent development, though.
Yeah, but just because he's old and he stumbles over his words a lot, and I think he's perfect for the in-ring interviewer or the Mean Gene Okerlund type of personality. That he can still do that role perfectly well, but he can't be calling a show for 2 hours. He doesn't have the stamina anymore for it, or the kind of the same level of ability. Not saying, just cut him and get rid of him right now, but it's time to add some fresh blood to the commentary table, and I think Danielson's a really good fit for it.
I hope I'm wrong here, but I do want to ask a question. Do you think this opens the door to one day potentially flirt with the idea of Adam Cole doing some commentary work? He was already doing a lot of it on Collision before he took a step back, but it would be nice to have him around.
Let's see why not. That's you don't want to immediately call time.
I'm hoping I'm wrong. I want to see him come back and wrestle for another 7 years, but
be someone that you potentially end up using in that role. But you can't just, obviously, the thing with AEW is they have so many good promo guys that could very well translate into good commentators, like an Eddie Kingston, I'm trying to think of a few other ones. Obviously, I do. Callis goes on commentary every now and again. You got people that can definitely fill that role. I'm trying to think. MJF eventually, but that'll be a long, long time in the future. He'll probably be a great heel commentator in the future if he decides to take that path. But you only have so many slots. You can't just pigeonhole everybody into that. But I think Adam Cole would be great as a. It's odd to say considering what WWE wanted to use for him, but I think he'd be a great manager when he hangs up his boots.
Yeah, I can see him as a manager more than a commentator, for sure. It could be a great general manager type too, like that.
It would have to be the right. He would be good for a GM because again, I think he has that beloved nature like Mick Foley. But he could be a great heel manager as well. He has to have the right talent, though.
Shout out to Josh in the chat. Thank you for the super chat. Asking, how do we feel that WWE is treating the women's U.S. title? I had responded in the chat poorly.
Like this?
Yeah, they're like they're focusing more on. This is one of those things that like this isn't a new development, so this isn't a shocking like oh my god assessment. But like yeah, Becky Lynch is getting a lot more prominent treatment right now with the women's Intercontinental title, but it's not because of the women's Intercontinental title. It's because Becky Lynch is in the whole thing with CM Punk and Seth Rollins, and she's Becky Lynch. And, the AJ Lee story that's going around with the women's IC title is tangential to the idea of the star power. Whereas Julia, they are, I thought that they were going to do this whole thing with Zelina Vega where they were going to be like, they were putting some stuff into Chelsea. That sounds awful. They were putting an investment into Chelsea as the women's United States champion. They went with Zelina clearly with the idea in mind of her being a transitional champion. Didn't do fuck all with her. Gave the belt to Julia. Gave her a manager because she can't speak English as well, and they want her to be able to have somebody that can cut the promos instead. And promptly went, yeah, but we don't really care about that either. And it sucks because Julia's talented. Kiana James is more talented than what they should be presenting her as. A lot of the women that are fighting for this belt should be in a better position. But
Can we talk about the fact that like you want to talk about its counterpart, the women's IC title? At this point, shouldn't Becky just be the women's world champion when you're not doing much with your women's world championship and you're treating Becky like she's the women's world champion?
Yeah.
I feel like they wanted to make these mid-card belts because it makes a statement. But then they said, in order to continue making this statement, we would have to treat them better. And we don't want to do that. I don't understand. Like, they haven't done shit with these belts. They didn't put them on Mania.
Right.
It was a layup to put them on Mania because it just would have been, aren't you excited that they're on Mania? Didn't do that.
Might as well have had Vince do the thing again where he did with the women's tag
Hunter
titles.
Could have come out like Santa Claus and said, here's your fucking mid-card titles.
Yeah. You want these fucking belts? Here you go. God damn it. Now shut the fuck up about it. Oh, now you're going to complain that I'm not booking them and I'm not actually doing anything with it. Yeah, they can very easily make this better. And it's not even just a matter of being like, you're sitting outside of this and you have no idea how hard it is for them. You carve out 10 fucking minutes on a 2-hour episode of SmackDown to focus on that. And that's still an upgrade from what they've been doing. Maybe don't have Kiana James come back after a certain amount of a year or whatever it was and have her lose in 3.5 seconds. Maybe at this point you should give a win to Michin that matters. So that way when she is the perpetual, I want to fight for the mid-card title, but I'm going to lose person, that fans can actually be a little bit invested and think that maybe there's a chance that she would win, as opposed to, oh, it's Michin. Of course she's going to lose. And then she loses.
What you do? Yeah? You know what you do? Hear me out here. You give her a courtesy run with the belt, so then there's credibility.
Maybe they should do that.
Fucking possibly. You could do these things and people would feel better.
It is funny that, like, even when it comes to a wrestler like Triple H, where, it's different if you've never been a wrestler. And, like, I know fully well that if WWE were to ever hire me as a writer, there would be a gap in my logic that would be like, you don't understand because you were never in the ring. But when people are former wrestlers and they are the producers and, a Jason Jordan or a Jamie Noble or whoever can bring their perspective. Yeah, Robbie Roode, great example. Shayna Baszler, can bring their perspective of, I understand what it's like to be a wrestler and to be in the position where I needed to actually win because wins do matter in pro wrestling. As much as it's a script thing, it still does matter. it is something that's funny when they just, oh, well, it's not me, so I don't have that logic anymore. And, don't you realize that the same thing applies to everybody else, you know? But yeah, they're not doing well with the women's US title, and I already assume that we're not going to get a women's US title match at WrestleMania because they won't have set up anything enough that they care about. Don't apologize for interrupting the Dynamite review. I have a note for myself right now. I'd like not a note, but I have my screen highlighted on like the next thing, so I didn't lose track. But yeah, they're doing a piss poor job with the women's US title, and I'm not at all surprised, unfortunately. On the AEW side of things, though, they had a whole slew of, it was like 14 championships or something between Emi Sakura and Mercedes Moné. It's the standard thing where, you know, Riho is going to fight Mercedes, so the tag team gets a win over there. Ricochet beats Shelton Benjamin. Tony Storm has a good Philly street fight against Sky Blue. Bunch of other women get involved in there because there's a 4-way for the belt. Is the next one.
Wow, you're really doing a great job with this one. Let me take over a little bit. So yes,
would you let Callum do the things that he cares about, please?
Let's put it.
So
something just happened with my computer.
I think he muted himself, and was that the point? I think that might have been the point.
Can you guys hear me?
Put it. Now we can.
Can you hear me now? All right, my computer just like froze for a second. No, I'm not giving the excitement to this that's in opposition of the lack of excitement that I gave to Raw and SmackDown. Let's be honest. You can't just act like Dynamite is not getting the same treatment from me. I'm being fair. When
you're just in a state where you're not liking much.
All the stuff that's like it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah.
I will say you didn't say that you share the same lack of enthusiasm for Raw and SmackDown as you do for AEW, but you tend to just say AEW did this and then move on to the next thing AEW does, whereas we talked for 5-10 minutes about the AJ Styles thing, which in the grand scheme of things doesn't really matter.
I don't think that the AJ Styles personally, the AJ Styles thing gets more interest from me because it's a what if and speculate, whereas Ricochet beats Shelton. Okay, he beats him. It's the same as how I didn't bring up Javon Evans and Josh Briggs. It's a match. And when AEW does matches, it's like, oh, of course Riho beat Mercedes. That's standard stuff. Yeah.
Which is technically beat Emi Sakura, but that's fine.
Yeah.
That's building up for the match at All Out. So
that is weird though, because they had Mercedes was tapping out to Windsor, but she's fighting Riho, and I feel like, granted Windsor isn't in the ropes, but she's still tapping out.
Well, that's the heel thing to do. Is she knows that she's in the ropes anyway, and she knows the match is going to be lost anyway. She's just tapping out. That's how not a chicken shit heel, but just any heel would react in that situation. You'd imagine a heel Kurt Angle or even a heel like Christian or something like that doing that in the same point in time all those years ago. So I don't really mind that too much. I mean, I think it became with the Dynamite is this FTR thing, where you had Stokely come out to just cut a promo with the crowd, and then Dax, Holden, and Cash Wheeler were basically just fighting everybody. They got up in the face of this anti-AEW kind of internet personality guy. I have no idea what his name is because he's not he's subhuman. So I don't really want to give him too much airtime. But they got in his face because they stand up for the promotion, and he probably went home and cried into his keyboard. But then they were just attacking production crew and attacking cameramen about all this stuff. So yeah, they're really leaning into these guys being pretty loose cannons ahead of this their match with Christian and Copeland at All Out.
It's not bad. It's just a different way to build to this match, where it almost feels actually. They set up the video package, which was basically Renee Paquette doing a FTR versus Edge and Christian by the numbers. And FTR was just like, yeah, fuck that. This ain't no dream match. We want to fight. And then they picked fights. It's just a weird build. But
yeah, we can't.
I think we're still losing something here on this. I'm having issues with OBS, everybody. So if you are losing out on this, I apologize. Something's happening on my end. Are we connected to the chat? Can people hear us? I think we're back, but I'm not entirely positive. I've never had this issue before. So
what is it saying?
It was like restarting, and for some reason it popped up as a Windows.
Yeah, no, we're fine. I still hear it. Oh, okay. I guess. Yeah, Josh says stream froze for a minute, but then we're good now.
Yeah, my internet hasn't been crapping out, so I don't know what the issue was. Maybe it's just purely OBS was having kind of a problem. I don't know. That's what you get for a live episode, right? So anyway, continue what you were saying.
Okay, so yeah, the Storm and Sky Blue match was, as I say, a lot of fun, and we saw staple guns to the vag and tits and ass and everything like that as well. So yeah, and you have Storm get the victory. I love the fact that she came out like in like a full like well, I guess like boiler suit with like just drinking beer like the Sandman and stuff like that, and like makeup smeared all over the place. But yeah, it was announced on Collision that Storm basically challenged Jamie Hayter, Chris Statlander, and Tekla to the 4-way match at All Out, and then Tekla laid out Toni Storm at the end of this to help like cement herself as this as having momentum going into the match. I don't know where I stand on the likelihood of the title changing hands in that match. It seems unlikely because it's not a singles match, but it might be a way to like have Storm lose without losing.
She loses without losing. Put the belt on. There are 3 solid choices here. I know who I would choose to win, and we'll talk about that more next week, but there's 3 solid choices, and I think she should lose. Granted, I've said she should lose for the past 2 pay-per-views, but in fairness to me, that's Athena and Mercedes, and she could have lost to both.
I fully expect that she just retains. Like, I'm not betting against her at this point.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'd say like it's the only chance. Like she will eventually lose the title. Like she's not going to hold it for 10 years or whatever. Like it's like she will lose the title eventually. So
no, she's not going to hold it for 10 years because she's timeless. She'll hold it forever. Like,
but that's like the only time I thought that she could have lost the title was to Megan Bain all that time ago. I think she's been fine for the last 2 title defenses, but that's just me. But I think there's a good chance, mainly because of what's happening with Statlander and the Death Rider stuff.
That's my pick too. I think Statlander gets the belt.
So we'll see how that ends up going. They've announced this tournament for the AEW Unified Championship, which is like one of these weird tournaments they sometimes do. I'm definitely not going to advocate for this, like in a positive way. That you have to have Okada as part of the tournament, even though he's the champion.
Weird. He's defending against Michael Oku.
Well, this is the thing: is that
it's a non-title match.
Spoilers. Yeah.
Right.
What?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a non-title match essentially.
Because if Oku were to beat him in this, he wouldn't win the championship. It would just be that he's in the match.
Will then be a 4-way?
No, it would be that he would be fighting for the vacated title, I'm assuming. Or that it would be, I guess, if he would win, that he would be the champion and then he would be immediately defending. The point is, I mean, Okada's going to win. So, like, it defeats the purpose. Like, why not just make it a 3-way and then have the 2 other matches, you know?
Because you want to get Michael Oku versus Okada and make it seem like it has stakes, but it seems convoluted to me.
See, the crazy thing is that because Collision's already been recorded, as it typically is done before the Saturday, so we know what the results of at least 2 of those matches are. Is that so? I don't think it's much of a spoiler to say that Takeshita and Okada won their respective matches are going to be in that 3-way match. This just means in All Out. It's just a means that All Out to get a taste of those 2 against each other, and so they can and then Okada can pin the 3rd guy, which will likely be the Beast Mortos, but you never know. They might put Mascara Dorada in there. But
I was assuming Dorada.
It could be. I mean, he's more of a babyface of the 2 of them. I just went with Mortos because he's the more prominently known AEW name.
Just like signed to AEW.
Yeah. So, but the weird thing is, like, I looked at like spoilers for Collision, and it said that because it says on the tournament thing that it's Okada versus Oku and Takeshita versus Anthony Bowens, and then I saw the Collision spoilers, and it said that Okada beat Anthony Bowens and then Takeshita beat Michael Oku, which means that either they got the tournament brackets wrong, or the guy that did the report is racist. So it'll be fun to find out which those it is.
I think I don't know who it is that they, because that I read the thing and it was Takeshita that beats Bowens and whatever. I'll give them a little bit of leeway that maybe the K names threw the person off.
So it's not just a case of
it's not racist in the one way. It's racist.
So you think it's more favourable that they got the wrong K names wrong, as opposed to they got the wrong Japanese guy against the wrong black guy in both matches.
I mean, I could see it being all scenarios, but I'm saying like they might not. Like I don't want to go full blown. They're definitely let's cancel the person racist kind of a thing. But
I'm not mentioning their name, so like it doesn't matter.
Well, hold on, because now I'm genuinely confused. I said it correctly, right? Like Okada was.
Hey, well, it is Okada versus
Okada and
Oku.
Oku.
It was Okada Oku. Okay.
Yeah, no, you're not the one we're talking about.
On the report I checked, it was the wrong way. On the report that I saw, it was they got it the wrong way around.
Yeah, and that, there's been plenty of typos I've seen here and there, or whatever like that. I don't know who it was that typoed you because I didn't read that one. I read cage side seats and they got it right. But there was something the other day where somebody got somebody mixed up, and it was like on air or something, and that reminded me of it. But now I'm like it went out of my brain already.
Let's cut these guys some slack. Maybe they're using Grammarly, and I've sent Tony some things where I'll type in Maven, and for no reason at all, Grammarly's like, "You mean the Miz?"
Yeah,
like, no,
or it's like the Hurt Syndicate, and it's like, no, they're the Hurt Business. Like that. They
haven't been. A full sentence of the Hurt Syndicate, not. Or the Hurt Business, not the Hurt Syndicate. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's clearly a typo. When you typed that SYN, you meant BUS. Like, but
they get to the kind of the most noteworthy thing from the show in the main event, which was like the 10-man tag for like $500,000. There's 10 woman tag that's also happening on Collision, which is another $500,000. So Tony Khan is really like not very careful with his money.
I need to wrestle for AEW, I think.
Yeah, just like you don't need to fight for titles. You're just getting tons of money from.
Pray that I get thrown in one of those matches and try to score a victory.
How many weeks in a row has it been that they have had in either All-Star 5, 6, 8, 10-man tag match or like $100,000 or whatever, and then on the opposite episode of Collision did the opposite, like where they did like the women's on Dynamite and the men's on there, or they did it both for like I think 3 weeks in a row now.
I can't tell you how long it's been, but it hasn't been long enough. So I really enjoy. I know some people like say it gets a bit like samey, but like I kind of just enjoy the chaos of these matches. So, but anyway, they did this one for the Death Riders and the Young Bucks against Brodido and the Ops, and they had like a backstage segment prior to this where John Moxley basically promised all of the money to the Bucks if they won, and the heels eventually won the match. So I hope that next week they play into that by having the Bucks come out in like really fancy gear again. Not that I say like they're super rich all of a sudden, but maybe for 1 week they restore themselves to a level of like high finance, and then they eventually spend all that money because they're not used to only having that amount of money, and then they go back to being jobbers again.
They splurge it all.
Yeah, they splurge it really quickly, and then they just realize, oh shit, that was all we had. And but then the biggest thing was after the match, everyone gets into a brawl, and Darby Allin goes after Moxley to help to try and engage him in a fight, and he gets attacked from behind, and it's Daniel Garcia. So, as we expected, Daniel Garcia has turned heel, but it's not. They decided that they're not going to do it based on the Nigel McGuinness thing and enter a feud between those two. Instead, he's turned and joined the Death Riders. So I think it's a necessary move. As I say, we'll see how it ends up playing out. I'm not going to say with any certainty one way or the other, because Daniel Garcia has already been part of a group which has like a prominent main event act at the top of it, and it didn't really elevate him to the level they were probably hoping to, because they let it fizzle out too quickly. There were opportunities to have him break out of the Jericho Appreciation Society and become like a top star straight away, and they turned their back against it, and like ended up like having to be like a very like soft relaunch for him as a babyface. But hopefully him being part of this group both breathes new life into the Death Riders in their post World Championship era, but then also gives him a new lease to, to be that next up and coming guy. Because obviously Moxley is the face of the group, but he'll fall into the background eventually. Claudio's is definitely is on the back end of his career, so it's only Yuta there that's the young face for him to counteract with, and I think eventually you will probably end up turning babyface. But yeah, I'd say I think it's the right move to make at this time, to turn Garcia heel and make him part of this group.
We've been talking about that for a while, that it was like Garcia and or Perry
should turn heel.
Like they should study under Moxley. So pull the trigger, do that. Don't go too quickly to where it can't build up some steam. And if you play your cards right, then maybe this is the thing that actually gets Garcia over the way that they were hoping for, that they for some reason just didn't even try with Jericho Appreciation Society.
Well, because Jericho was literally doing I want you to be more of an entertainer, and
this one is obviously going to focus on Garcia being like a killer. So
yeah, the hope here is that you focus on the killer. I think they dropped the ball, not with Jericho, but with the MJF stuff last year, when there was a lot of momentum for him. But Mox has the chance to build him up now.
Yeah, I think he needs to be the guy that, like, obviously learns under Moxley for a while, but then because you're building up with Death Riders, these other young guys, you've got Yuta and you've got Gaby Kidd also on the outside, not looking in as well. So I think one of them eventually needs to be the guy that takes the snake's head, as it were, in the sense they kick Moxley out of the group and take ownership of it. I think Garcia would be a good choice for that. I think that Yuta just doesn't have the same, I guess, main event potential. Which seems harsh to say, but I just don't think that he's better as a stooge type. And Gabe Kidd has the promo ability for it, but just until he's properly signed with AEW, which you imagine will be sometime in the near future, then it doesn't make sense for him to be the lead face of it. So I think Garcia is a good choice for that.
He's got the chutzpah.
Yeah, and then we'll see if Statlander joins as part of that as well, and then it's a bit more of like a revamp. As now we've shifted focus to the Don Callis family being the kind of world championship heel stable. It's now time for the Death Riders to be kind of mid-card one, or like I say, if you have Statlander join the group and become the women's world champion, they're now they're the main group focused on the women's world championship instead. Also, again, this is like a nothing point really, but it is. I think it's kind of good that Hangman has set the trend of referring to it as the men's world championship now, and now Fletcher's also referring to it as the men's world championship in their feud as well. So
I think you're going to get very specific individuals who will take the time to do that, and others will not.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, I agree.
That's what it should be. Like every once in a while, it's very rare, but every once in a while they'll say that for like the men's Intercontinental Championship in WWE, and it's like it's new enough that they're not used to it, but they should. And I try to do that in my articles because it's like, if you say the Intercontinental Championship, which belt are you talking about? Technically speaking, you're going to understand what the context is. If you say Dominic Mysterio is defending the Intercontinental title, you'll be like, all right, it's not the women's, but. If you have to put a qualifier for the women's, you should put the qualifier before the men's.
I agree, and I think that you should be able to say if it's the women's world championship, you should be able to say
the world title
is defending the AEW world title.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like it should be one rule for either of them. It should be either they're both called the world champion, and you can just you can tell because they're different genders.
Yeah.
Or it's a case of you can. Or you call it the men's world title and the women's world title. Either way works for me, but it's the case of you shouldn't have like the dichotomy between that you used to have.
Yeah, there should be. I mean, that's one of those things that's pretty self-explanatory, yet for some reason people do need to have it spelled out to them. Like, just in theory, if you were to say, like, my favorite belt design right now is the World Championship, you could technically go, do you mean the AEW World Championship? Do you mean the WWE World Championship? Do you mean the Undisputed WWE Championship? Do you mean the Women's World Championship? The AEW Women's World Championship? You got to classify there. Is it the TNA World title? Like, you would have to say what But when you get into like, oh, well, I mean the undisputed WWE Championship, it should be like, well, you didn't specify, and you should, because there are other world titles, and that's fair is fair. And if they're all on the same level, they should be treated the same. Women's championship should be equal to the men's. And if anybody that's like, no, that's not whatever, you might need to check your...
Hey, your sexism showing.
Yeah, like you might be a little stuck in the I'm a surly old man who doesn't want equality kind of bullshit. Which goes back to Saudi Arabia. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, full circle. Yeah.
Look at that. Full Circle University. So, yeah, good things for Daniel Garcia turning heel and joining the Death Riders. We got obviously some stuff going on with 2 pay-per-views coming up next week. So next week we will have our dedicated predictions podcast for those. And yeah, for the people that were annoyed that we didn't do a main event this week or last week, I'm tired.
You get 2 next week.
So, it's what it is.
Fine, you get 2 next week.
And for the people that were curious about when we're going to do the roster tier lists, I don't have a game plan yet, but I am kind of assuming it might be a good game plan for the beginning of October, and recording that and putting that in advance and kind of like slow releasing for those 4 episodes, because we'll do a men's and a women's for the AEW and WWE. And then if you have the early access tier over on the YouTube channel membership, the $5 tier, then you'll be able to watch them all in in no time. But if not, then release them over the course of a little bit of time throughout October when I'm not going to be in the United States. So that's kind of a game plan that I've got going on right now, which is a little bit later than what we normally do, but they haven't done the things that they normally do in September for a lot of these shows, where they end up trying to treat them as like season premieres. They're not advertising any of those yet.
The week after WrestlePalooza.
That's what's going to be the quote unquote season premiere.
It's usually last week of September, first week of October. I think there still will be a draft. I think you got a lot of fun stuff coming if you're into that kind of stuff from us, because I think we're going to get all that.
So I might not be around for, I'm definitely not going to be around for like Crown Jewel predictions and post show and Bound for Glory and Wrestle Dream and stuff. I won't be doing the podcast for those 2 weeks, but the roster tier list, probably something we'll work on, and that'll be posted around that time frame. Next week we do have TNA, or not next week. No, next week we do have WrestlePalooza, and we have All Out, and then the week after that we have No Mercy and TNA Victory Road. So the pay-per-view onslaught continues, and we do have that event tonight. AEW or not AEW, AAA. Too many A's. All.
AEW.
AAA Worlds Collide happening at 10 o'clock. Smackdown from 8 to 10. Any other topics you guys want to toss out for the hot tags? I don't have anything else written down.
No, I think we're good. I just want to point out that Bryan Danielson likes to talk about how bears would do in hardcore matches and why that doesn't work for them. And you should go to Fightful.com and read articles about bears, specifically written by me.
Is there like a laundry list of this? Articles written about bears by you? You have multiple articles?
There's at least 2 in the last 24 hours, so we're building here.
I'll check out those bear articles.
I barely contain myself.
That's good. Toss out your plugs, Callum.
You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Wigmeister14. Check out the Power Rankings, usually every Saturday. Last week I forgot, so it came out on Sunday instead. I backdated it, so it looks like Saturday, which is the clever thing, the clever trick that you can do. But yeah, it came out on Sunday last week.
Shh, people aren't supposed to know that.
I know.
People aren't supposed to know when I post Collision things afterward.
I think people that care noticed, so I'm not like revealing the secrets too much. But yeah, you can check out the Power Rankings, which should hopefully be out on Saturday this week, to see how I rank the WWE superstars based on this past week's performances. And while you're over there, you can check out the Fantasy League over at www.fantasyleague.com. See how our respective teams are doing as we head towards WrestlePalooza, and the big matches still take place there. Interesting enough, I've not noticed anyone taking AJ Lee as of yet to be part of their team, so see if that happens in the near future. But yeah, just follow that along to see how our most recent teams and how the points are going.
Well, I'm going to make a trade because I forgot about AJ Lee, and thanks for you putting that up. I still have some trades available.
I wasn't planning on doing it just yet. Yeah, it's like we've all got plenty of trades available. I wasn't planning on doing it myself. So
I have some people that I don't think are really actually going to be doing all that much going forward that I was thinking was going to be doing some more. So I am going to actually take Asuka out of my All right, so I'm debating Asuka, Javon Evans, Solo Sikoa. There's a lot of people that could go out of this. Blake Monroe is not really doing as much as I thought she was going to. We double check to see who's making me some points. And let's see. Jacob Fatu is giving me -3 recently. Solo Sikoa -3.
They didn't appear on the last show. So
yeah, so screw those guys. Definitely keeping Vaquera because she might win that title. I guess Asuka is going to be on every week, so that's not a bad idea to keep her. Let's get rid of Solo Sikoa instead and swap AJ Lee in there.
Yeah, I assume that was the person you were going for.
Yeah, now after the AJ Lee thing, if I would have been like, I'm going to make a trade and Otis is going on my team, it would have been weird.
Yeah.
I'm going to double check to see if there's any other people that are standing out to me that I'm forgetting about as well. Now that I'm looking at this. There's the... no, probably not that person. Oh, you have Hikuleo still listed as Hikuleo, by the way.
Oh, yes. I got Tulatonga put in there as well. So yeah. I added Tulatonga in somewhere, so like it doesn't matter. Go on.
I am not going to pick up Brock Lesnar.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, we'll see. But check out a bunch of other things you guys can find all on smarkoutmoment.com and stuff. Check out Fanboys Anonymous. I finally got a chance to write up something the other day. I wrote up a review of the paper, the spinoff of The Office. So if you are interested in that, check out my thoughts on the paper. And check out everything else you can see on the link tree at amangotree.com and anthonymango.com. It's exactly the same thing. It's just a redirect. So follow all those accounts. Follow me on the Tony Mango section of that. And make sure that you are following smarkoutmoment.com and the YouTube channel and staying tuned for whatever's happening next. Might be a Worlds Collide post show if anything absolutely crazy happens, but I highly doubt I'm going to want to do that tonight. So most likely... we will see you next with the WrestlePalooza pay-per-view predictions and the all-out pay-per-view predictions on Tuesday, Wednesday, something along those lines. And, yeah. Adios for now, everybody. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.